This is the homework for 557A, 558A, 559, 561A, and D. In problem 557A, you need to solve the system of equations without graphing. So in this problem, I would use the equal values method. In the equal values method, you have y equals negative x plus 8. So if this is what y equals, you can substitute it into this equation because here's y. And if y equals this, then you just plug it in for y here. Now you set the two equations equal to each other. So negative x plus 8 is y, which is now here. And then we keep the right side of the equation, x minus 2. Now we solve this equation for x, and we get inverse property of subtraction, which is addition. We add x to both sides. This is a zero pair. X plus x equals 2x. Inverse property of subtraction is addition, so we add 2 to both sides of the equation. Creates a zero pair. 8 plus 2 is 10. So 10 equals 2x. Inverse property of multiplication is division. So we create the giant 1. Divide both sides by 2. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. 5 equals x, but we want to know the value of x. So the proper way of writing it is x equals 5. Now that we know what x equals, we need to solve for y. So I could go back to the original two equations, and plug the x value into either of these equations. So I chose this equation, y equals x minus 2. If x equals 5, I plug it in here. Y equals 5 minus 2, so y equals 3. So the point of intersection is 5, 3. For problem 558, I need to change the equation into y equals mx plus b form. So I have the equation y minus 4x equals negative 3. Well, I want to get y by itself into this form. So first thing I'm going to do is the inverse property of subtraction is addition. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides. Created a zero pair. Now I have y by itself, but it's not in y equals mx plus b form. So I'm going to use commutative property of addition, and I'm going to move the positive 4x here and negative 3 here. So now it's in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, or y equals 4x minus 3. In 559, Mailboxes Plus sends packages overnight for $5 plus 25 cents per ounce. So there's an initial $5 plus 25 cents per ounce. For United Packages, they charge $2 plus 35 cents per ounce. So you need to find out when it would cost the same to use either service. So I would use the equal values method. And in order to do that, we set both of the equations equal to each other. If we go back up to here, if y equals 2500 x plus 5, well, I can take that value of y and substitute it into here. So I'm setting both equations equal to each other. You can only use equal values method when you have both equations in y equals mx plus b form. So now we're going to solve for x. So inverse property of addition is subtraction, so we're going to subtract 2500ths x from both sides, 0 pair, and 3500ths minus 2500ths is 1000ths x. Inverse property of addition is subtraction, so subtract 2 from both sides. 5 minus 2 is 3, and 2 minus 2 is 0, 0 pair. Still don't have x by itself. We have 1000ths x, so it's multiplication. Inverse property multiplication is division. Created the giant 1 here. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So 3 divided by 1000ths equals 30. So x equals 30. So each package will weigh 30 ounces. In problem 561, you need to determine how many solutions each problem will have. So inverse property of subtraction is addition, so we're going to move the variable first. So we're going to add x to both sides, 0 pair, 3x plus x equals 4x. Inverse property of addition is subtraction, so we're going to subtract 7 from both sides, 0 pair, and negative 1 and negative 7 equals negative 8. Inverse property of multiplication is division. Create the giant 1. And so 1 multiplied by x is x, and negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. So there's one solution. In problem B, before we solve, we need to combine like terms. We have these two integers that we can combine, and then we have negative 2x and positive 5x. So negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Negative 2x plus 5x is positive 3x. Now we subtract 3x from both sides. And this is a 0 pair, this is a 0 pair. And we end up with negative 3 equals negative 5. And that's not true. And if you get a not true statement, there's no solution.